And here's the big exclusive interview as we promised. The economy is on the road to recovery and HDFC Bank can get back to clocking 30% growth rates. That's the word coming in from the Managing Director and CEO of the bank, Aditya Puri. CNBC TV 18's Lata Venkatesh caught up with Puri and began by asking him about any plan from HDFC to hike stake in HDFC Bank. Listen in.
HDFC is going to raise money through non-convertible debentures. Have you any idea if some of that money will be used to buy HDFC Bank shares?
I have no idea.
No, I mean they are now classified as foreign. So
yes.
Is there any bracket to buy, or they will have, if they want to buy, they have to buy only from that FII window?
To the best of my knowledge, under current regulations, yes.
Okay, so things don't change immediately. You are going to have the FII window and domestic window for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, now let me come to your own money that was raised. How are you planning to use it, or how have you already used it?
No, see, Lata, what we said is that this is a growing country. There are also additional capital requirements coming in from Basel III. As a combination of those two, we would probably use about 0.5% or thereabout of capital every year. And with that, this takes care of our next 3 years' requirements. And we are right on track.
Okay. So this year itself, since you have just increased your capital, is there a chance that you will do better in terms of loan offtake? I mean, your traditional loan offtake used to be about 25%. It had dropped a bit in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Should we expect a bump up in your loan offtake this year itself, FY16?
Let me rephrase that. I don't think because we've raised money, we will take an offtake up. But I think the economy is picking up. So as we've already always said, that our loan offtake is a function of the GDP. So as the GDP picks up, yes, there will be some increase in offtake.
Okay, fair enough. Let me rephrase that question again. You know, the world and your investors and the observers of the Indian banking scene had got used to seeing HDFC Bank's both profits and revenue rise by 25 to 30%, actually closer to 30%. The last 2-3 years we've been seeing it receding every year, and I think last year you have clocked 21-22%. Do you see that significantly rising this year for either reasons? Because you have money and because the economy is picking up?
No, see, we never give guidance. So the point is that the investors I've met are very happy with our rate of growth. And they understand that it's linked to GDP and we don't push the envelope. So is the growth going to be in line with our projections and in line with our growth in GDP forecast that we made? Answer is yes. Am I going to tell you how much? No.
No, I'm not expecting you to give me a decimal point or even a whole number. But, you know, when I last interviewed you on the same issue that your rates have come down, you said that, you know, it would be foolish to lend too much when the economy is slowing.
Absolutely.
So, have you seen that U-turn to ensure, to give you the confidence that this time you will lend a little more than you lent last year?
I think so. I think so, definitely.
Assuming the economy comes back to the 2003, 2006 or 2008 kind of growth rates, is 30% still doable, or will the big base...
The big base is not relevant. The 30% is doable. I think the way, and that requires a certain rate of GDP growth, obviously close to the 8 plus. And I'm talking about the old GDP. The new numbers I'm still coming to... So am I confident that India will reach that growth rate? The answer is yes. Am I confident that the bank will not lose market share but will gain market share? More than confident.
The Reserve Bank has given this 525 rule. Do you think that that is a disguised restructuring, or do you think it is turning around? As an observer of the infrastructure scene, do you think it is turning around assets in a legitimate manner?
Could be both. If your intention is good, then it could turn it around in a legitimate manner. I think the sequence has to be that first the viability of the project has to be established. And whether it's 525 or 510 or 5 is the secondary aspect. So as long, a part of the reason why we're suffering the current issues is when the Reserve Bank allowed a restructuring, some of the restructuring was not valid to begin with. So whether it's 525, whether it's restructuring, whether it's joint lenders forum, if you don't keep the integrity of your thought and intentions, then it's a bad scheme anyway. If we actually move it like into a Chapter 11 where we are all convinced that it's viable, with everybody taking the pain, then any scheme will work.
Okay. Well, I'm reading between the lines to put two and two together. What about the other scheme that the Reserve Bank has announced, that now bankers can convert their debt into equity at a price that is not linked to the SEBI formula and therefore at a lower price? Do you see this working enough to make bankers take control of the company?
I think more than bankers taking control, a lot of the promoters will realize they're going to lose their company. And it's not going to be that they carry on with their equity is going to go. And I think that will bring a lot of sense in some of the promoters. And I think it's a very good measure. And I think everybody who has to smell the coffee should do so now.
Actually, now the Reserve Bank is taking one step even further, saying that if after a corporate debt restructuring, the companies or the promoters don't bring in their share or don't perform according to the standards promised, the banks can simply ensure enough shares are issued so that they get 51% stake and they can sell off the company.
But Lata, don't you think it's reasonable? First the banks lent. Then you ran into difficulty. The banks sit with you and take you at face value and give you a restructuring. And if that restructuring is in cuckoo land, then I think you should pay for it.
Are circumstances changing? I mean, we still have problems of land acquisition. When you speak to infrastructure company leaders, you still get a sense that a lot of the approvals are not coming or that they are getting inordinately delayed. Are you getting a sense that circumstances are changing, that economy is turning at a very meaningful level?
I think so. I think so. If you look at it in 2 or 3 stages. Number one, are we reasonably certain that both monetary and fiscal policy is under control?
Yes.
That's a very major step. It's not something that you could have minor differences. In my own opinion, the market misunderstood what Dr. Rajan said. All he said is, I'm front-loading and I'll watch, because it doesn't make sense for me to be ambitious as a central banker. I'll watch what is the impact of the inflation, etc. I would say you probably get another 25 basis cut before December. So that's a very major step. Have the seeding of Aadhaar accounts grown exponentially? I think yes. Have we got the mines functioning? Yes. Have some of the projects gone? Yes. Do some projects, can a little more be done? I would say yes. But have some of the power projects, and have we sorted out the auction issues? I would say yes. I'm very convinced on the rail plan that expenditure will come in. Will the government start spending? I think they've started spending in April, and I would recommend that they spend a little more, because everybody said the same thing, that a bit of government expenditure and public sector coming in with projects will change the sentiment. I would say come 3rd or 4th quarter of this year, you would see a far more optimistic scenario.
Aditya Puri convinced the central exchequer is going to increase public expenditure soon. We're going to see another 25 basis points rate cut. You can catch more of that exclusive interview at 9 p.m. on India Business Hour.